সলমন শুনতে পাচ্ছ? হ্যালো সলমন, শোনা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
ওকে ওকে, ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছি। নেটওয়ার্কের প্রবলেমের জন্য অসুবিধা হচ্ছিল।
হ্যালো, হ্যালো, শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ নিনাদি,
হ্যাঁ, শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম, শোনা যাচ্ছে। ম্যাম,
ওকে।
হচ্ছে কোথায়?
হ্যাঁ,
মানে কোথাও ডাবল কানেকশন আছে, দেখো তো চেক করে। না মানে ডাবল।
আমার এখানে ডাবল কানেকশন নেই।
আচ্ছা, কোথাও একটা ইকো
হ্যালো,
হচ্ছে।
হ্যালো।
হ্যাঁ শোনা, তোমার ভয়েস শোনা যাচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে। আমরা কি শুরু করে দেবো?
ওয়াইসি স্যারকে একটু বলো জয়েন করতে। ওয়াইসি স্যার তো জয়েন করবে।
আমি তো ওনাকে মেসেজ করেছিলাম।
হ্যাঁ নিনা, আমিও জয়েন করেছি, শুনতে পাচ্ছি
হ্যাঁ,
আমি।
হ্যাঁ, 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 ঠিক আছে। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। আমরা তাহলে আর 2-3 মিনিট একটু ওয়াইসি স্যারের জন্য অপেক্ষা করি। কার্তিক, তুই কাইন্ডলি একবার ওয়াইসি স্যারকে কি খবর করবি?
হ্যাঁ হ্যালো, তাহলে আমি নিচে যাচ্ছি। হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
আচ্ছা, আমার এই মোবাইলটা একটু খারাপ আছে, আওয়াজটা শোনা যায় তো?
হ্যাঁ, শোনা
হ্যালো।
যাচ্ছে কার্তিক দা, শোনা যাচ্ছে,
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
পরিষ্কার শোনা যাচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে। আর নিনাদি শুরু করে দাও।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে।
ওয়েবটা জয়েন করলো তো, যে এবিসি আর দেখা যাচ্ছে।
শুভ দ্বীপ্রহর, গুড আফটারনুন সবাইকে। ভাষা আমরা আমাদের জন্মের পর থেকে মস্তিষ্কের ব্যক্তিগত কর্মক্ষমতায় নিজের নিজের মতন করে যে যে ভাষা পরিবেশে আমরা থাকি, সেই ভাষায় আমরা পরিচিত হয়ে উঠি, সেই ভাষার সঙ্গে আমরা নিজেরা আত্মস্থ হয়ে উঠি। কিন্তু প্রাত্যহিকতা কোথাও যেন একটা ভাষার প্রতি আমাদের উদাসীনতা এনে দেয়। ভাষাকে খুঁজে পেতে হয় আমাদের অন্তরের অস্তিত্বে, এবং হয়তো আনুষ্ঠানিকতার একাধ দিনের অনুষ্ঠানের মধ্যে, যেগুলোকে আমরা ভাষা দিবস নাম দিয়ে থাকি। কিন্তু ভাষা আমাদের আবেগ। আবেগ বলেই হয়তো একদিন এই ভাষার জন্য একাধিক মানুষ শহীদ হয়েছেন, এবং একাধিক মানুষ তাদের অধিকার বুঝে নিতে গিয়ে তাদের প্রাণ হারিয়েছেন, এবং তারপরে সেই ভাষার দাবিতে, ভাষার উচ্চারণের দাবিতে দেশ ভাগও হয়েছে। ভাষা আমাদের প্রতিনিয়ত চলতে শেখায়, আমাদের পারস্পরিক যে বোধ, পারস্পরিক যে চেতনা, সেগুলোর বিনিময় শেখায়। কিন্তু প্রাত্যহিকতার কারণে এই ভাষার ব্যবহার এবং ভাষার ব্যবহারের ক্ষেত্রে আমাদের কিছু জং পড়ে যায়। আমার মনে হয় এই 15 থেকে 22 আচার্য প্রফুল্ল চন্দ্র রায় সরকারি কলেজে যে ভাষার নিয়ে যে ভ্যালু অ্যাডেড কোর্স বলে যে অংশটা আমরা শুরু করলাম, সেটা শুধুমাত্র একটা কোর্স হয়ে থাকবে না, একটা ভাষা উৎসবে পরিণত হবে। এখানে প্রচুর স্যারেরা, প্রচুর ম্যাডামরা, প্রচুর ফ্যাকাল্টিরা, আমাদের কলেজের এবং কলেজের বাইরের প্রচুর ফ্যাকাল্টিরাও ভাষার বিভিন্ন দিক নিয়ে আলোচনা করবেন এবং ভাষার বহমানতা, যে বহমানতা ভাষাকে তার নিজস্বতা দেয়, যে বহমানতা ভাষাকে আরো উৎকর্ষের দিকে নিয়ে যায়, সেই বহমানতা নিয়ে আলোচনা হবে। আমি আশা করব আমার ছাত্রছাত্রীরা এর দ্বারা অনেক উপকৃত হবেন। আমি আমাদের কলেজের ভারপ্রাপ্ত অধ্যক্ষ ডক্টর ময়ূখ সরকারকে এই বিষয়ে কিছু বলার জন্য অনুরোধ করব। ডক্টর সরকার। ডক্টর ময়ূখ সরকারকে আমি কিছু বলার জন্য অনুরোধ করব। ডক্টর সরকার কি আছেন কলে? ডক্টর সরকার বোধহয় কোনো কাজে ব্যস্ত আছেন। আমরা তাহলে আমাদের আইকিউএসি কোঅর্ডিনেটর শ্রী কার্তিক চন্দ্র দেকে অনুরোধ করব আমাদের এই প্রোগ্রামটা নিয়ে যদি কিছু বলেন।
Respected officer in charge, head of the departments, professors of different departments, resource persons, and my dear students. Good afternoon to all of you. We are at the beginning ceremony of an 8-day long certificate course on enhancing effective communication and language skill. APC Roy Government College aims to produce globally competitive, competent, practical human resources. The human resource produced by the institution is expected to be aimed at influencing new ideas appropriate for suitable development and improvement of quality of life. Inspiring by the vision of the college, we are conducting capacity building and soft skill enhancement programs. We have already conducted certificate course on computer basics, MS Office and its application in the month of April 2023. We are organizing seminars on intellectual property rights, research methodology, entrepreneurship, which are also promoted by UGC. We are also organizing different programs to sensitize our students to different social problems. We are also planning to organize a course on soft skill like secularism, Indian Constitution, etc., and on life skills like yoga, physical fitness, health and hygiene, etc. As a part of our supportive work to the students, now we are organizing a certificate course on enhancing effective communication and language skills. As the student base of this college is from both English and Bengali medium schools, we have incorporated lectures on communication skills on both the languages. Resource persons not only from our college but also from different colleges like Darjeeling Government College, APJ Abdul Kalam Government College, Newtown, Kolkata, will deliver their valuable lectures. Students are instructed to attend the course carefully and note down the point whichever they may feel important. A test may be conducted based on the objective questions at the end of the course. Hope that the course will be helpful for students for their future life. Thank you, all of you.
থ্যাংক ইউ কার্তিক স্যার। এখন আমাদের আজকের এই অনুষ্ঠানটার ভাষা উৎসবের প্রথম যিনি বক্তা তিনি হলেন ডক্টর অনিরুদ্ধ পাল, আমাদের আচার্য প্রফুল্লচন্দ্র রায় গভর্নমেন্ট কলেজের ইংলিশ ডিপার্টমেন্টের প্রফেসর ডক্টর অনিরুদ্ধ পাল আমাদের প্রথম যে লেকচারটি সেটি দেবেন। লেকচারের বিষয় এবং ভাবনা চিন্তাগুলো আমি আশা করব ছাত্রছাত্রীদের ভালো লাগবে এবং ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কাছে অনুরোধ থাকবে তারা যতক্ষণ ক্লাস চলবে বা স্যার যতক্ষণ বলবেন ততক্ষণ তোমরা কোনো কথা বলবে না। ক্লাস শেষ হয়ে যাওয়ার পরে একটা নির্দিষ্ট সময় থাকবে, তোমাদের যা কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা তোমরা ওই সময়টাতে জিজ্ঞেস করে নিতে পারো। আমি ডক্টর পালকে অনুরোধ করব ওনার বক্তব্য শুরু করার জন্য। ডক্টর পাল।
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, my colleagues, dear colleagues, and my students. Thank you, Nina Madam, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this value-added program organized by the Acharya Prafulla Chandra Government College. I am Dr. Aniruddha Pal, Department of English. Today I will speak on very basic things about the English language, or for that matter, any language. Now, students, I am especially addressing my lecture for the students, but my colleagues may also give their comments on my lecture at the end of my delivery. So, as students, we all know that language is a very important component of human existence, and language or bhasha or language, whatever, this is something very important, but we often ignore the various aspects of the language. Now, if you have some basic ELT training, or for that matter, language training or English language training, it says that there are 4 skills of the English language, or for that matter, any language. The 4 skills of the language, whether it be English or Bengali or Urdu or Japanese or Telugu, whatever be the language, there are essentially 4 basic skills of any language. And what are they? They are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So listening, speaking, reading, and writing, these are the 4 essential and basic skills of the English language, or for that matter, any language. Okay, so when a child is born, when a baby is born, first the baby, boy or girl, cannot participate in any language activity. It only listens, the baby boy or the baby girl only listens to what the mother says, to what the father says. So this is something very crucial. The baby does not understand anything about the language, so it only listens to what the mother says, and after some time it only listens to what the father and the other people in the family says or speaks to him or her. So listening is the first most important basic skill that a human being acquires in the course of time. After listening, after let us say 1 year or 1.5 years, the baby, boy or girl, slowly picks up speaking. Initially, it is only listening that he or she acquires from the mother and from the other family members, especially from the mother. That's why we call mother tongue. Why do we use the language mother tongue? Why do we use the term mother tongue? Because the baby first interacts with its mother. Whether it is a boy or a girl, it first interacts with the mother. The mother is the first human being that a boy or girl, baby infant comes across. So the mother tongue is the language which the mother speaks. The mother tongue is the language which the mother speaks in relation to the baby. So listening is the first important skill that a baby slowly acquires in the course of its existence, in the course of its growing up. After listening, let us say for nearly 1 year or 1.5 years, after the listening process, this listening process is a continuous process. So even after 1.5 years, 2 years, the baby listens, and we're also listening. We adults are also listening all the time. So this is one skill that is very important, which a child acquires initially. After listening comes speaking. So the baby cannot speak at first. After listening comes speaking. For nearly 1.5 years, 2 years, 4 years, till 4 or 5 years, the baby or the boy or the girl acquires the habit of speaking. So first comes listening. This is the first basic skill of the child, of the baby. And after listening, next comes speaking. The speaking is the second skill that a baby or a child acquires in the course of its existence. So speaking, let us say, till the age of 3 or 4 or 5, till the age of 4 or 5, the baby can, till the age of 4 or 5, the baby learns speaking. Please switch off your microphone if anybody switch off the microphone. Students, please switch off the microphone.
ওই দেখ না ওই
এত মরে যাবে না ওখানে ইংলিশ কি আনকনসিয়াস সিস্টেম অফ ভার্টিব্রেটস মিন আমরা এদের ক্ষেত্রে বেসিক্যালি
I request my students to switch off their microphone, and if they have any query after the class, I will answer to their queries. Please switch off the microphone for the time being. So we see the first important skill that a child acquires or masters is listening, and then comes speaking. At the age of 3 or 4 or 5, child, the baby turns into a child, goes to school. And when the baby or the child goes to school at the age of 4 or 5 or let us say 6, he or she starts reading as well. So first listening, then speaking, and then reading. Then the child or the baby also learns how to read. And later, after reading is accomplished, after the reading habit is accomplished, the baby or the child, for that matter, now it's no more a baby, the child, boy or girl, starts writing. So this is, in fact, the order of language acquisition: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. This is, in fact, for every boy or girl, for every human being, this is the order of language acquisition across civilizations, across centuries. Whatever be the language, whether it be Telugu or Hindi or Nepali or Bengali or English or Arabic, whatever be the mother tongue, this is more or less the order of language acquisition for a human being: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Now, this was just a very brief introductory kind of a lecture, talk. So this is something very introductory, which all of us know. Now, today, I shall emphasize, my lecture shall be especially on language speaking. Now, we know that there are two ways of expression. One is written, another one is spoken. Now, when we write, we make the use of letters. When we write anything in English or Bangla or Hindi, whatever be the language, when we write anything in any language, when you write a letter, when you write a book, when you write a novel or a poem, when we write, we make use of letters. This is very clear. And what are the letters? Let us now come back to English. What are the letters in English? A to Z. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So there are 26 letters in the English alphabet. Now this is clear. This everyone knows that when we write anything in English or Bengali or Nepali or Hindi, whatever be the language, when we write, we make use of letters. This is clear to all. But when we speak a language, for the, let us say, I'm now speaking with you. So what am I making use of? Am I using letters? When we speak a language, when we speak English or Hindi or Nepali, whatever be the language, when we speak a language, what are we using? We're using words. I'm speaking English and I'm speaking English words, but what are the words made of? When I write in English, the words are made of letters. This is clear. When I write in English, the words are made of letters. But when I speak in English, or when I speak in Bengali, when I speak in Nepali, what are the words made of? The words are not made of letters. The words are made of sounds. Now, this is a major thing that we overlook. When we speak, we make use of sounds, not letters. This is something that we often tend to overlook. In case of written English, in case of written Bengali, we make use of letters, A, B, C, D, or A, K, K. Okay, but when we speak a language, when we read a language, or when we speak a language, we are not making use of letters. This is very clear. We are not making use of the letters A to Z when we speak a language. I am right now speaking in English, and I am not making use of the 26 letters in English. So what am I making use of? I am taking recourse to English sounds. I am making use of the English sounds. The English sounds. Technically, these sounds are called phonemes. Technically, these sounds are called phonemes. I will give a detailed account or a detailed picture of the phonemes in my next class, and I shall also share in the group the list of the phonemes that are available in English. For the time being, I shall only tell you one thing, that when we write in any language, write in English, we make use of the letters A to Z, but when we speak in English, we do not make use of letters. We make use of sounds. Now, you may ask me, sir, what are the sounds? So how many sounds are there in English? Yes, this is a very valid question. There are 26 letters in English, but there are 46 sounds in English. There are 26 letters A to Z in English that we make use of when speaking, or when writing, but when speaking, we make use of sounds which are 46 in number. Of them, 22 are vowel sounds or vowels, and 24 are consonants. So in English, there is a misconception in English that there are only 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U. No, this is a misconception. This is untrue. This is a misconception. This is untrue. There are not 5 vowels in English. There are 22 vowels in English and 24 consonants in English. When we speak English, we need at least 22 vowels and 24 consonants to speak our language. Now you may ask me, somebody may ask me, sir, what are A, E, I, O, U? Yes, A, E, I, O, U are just letters like A, B, C, D. They're all the same. There is no difference between A and B, between A, E, I, O, U and the other 21 letters in English. There is absolutely no difference between A, E, I, O, U, the so-called vowel letters, and the other letters in English, the remaining 21 letters. So A, E, I, O, U are not different from the other 21 letters like Z, P, B, M, N, whatever. So A, E, I, O, U are just ordinary letters, the letters that are there in the English language, in the English alphabet. There is no difference between A, E, I, O, U and the other letters that are there in the English alphabet. So this is something that is not clearly understood by everybody. So I have Since people, even graduating or post-graduating in English, they do not have a very clear idea about the entirely different system called the sound system. So when we speak in English, when we speak in Bengali, when we speak in Nepali or Urdu or Japanese, whatever be the language, we make use of sounds or phonemes, not letters. Letters are only required for writing English or Nepali or Urdu, or for that matter, any language of the world. Now, this idea of a phonetic system or a sound system as different from the writing system evolved in England in the late 19th century. This idea that there are two systems in the language. One is the written system, which is called the orthography, and another is the spoken system of a language called the phonetic, or the spoken system of a language, which is called phonetics. This idea evolved in England in the late 19th century, and many English linguists like Otto Esperson, they have worked on it. So this is something not very new. This is something not very new that it evolved only in the 21st century. No, it evolved right from the late 19th century, and it has developed over the times in England, in America, and in other parts of the world. So linguists believe that this is something which the ordinary human being, which the layman, which the average, even the average Englishman might not be knowing the difference between letters and sounds. The average Bengali, the average Nepali, the average Hindi-speaking person may not be knowing the difference between spoken words and written words. So words can be manufactured in two ways. A word, any word for that matter, college, school, boy, girl, you take any word for that matter, can be constructed, can be manufactured in two ways. One is in writing with the help of letters, another is in speaking with the help of sounds. So when it comes to writing, the English language the English alphabet has got 26 letters, A to Z, and all the letters of the English alphabet, A to Z, are similar. I mean, they have a similar qualitative value. No one is a consonant. No English letter is a consonant. No English letter is a vowel or a consonant. No English letter, A, E, I, O, U, or for that matter, any letter for that matter, no English letter can be called a vowel or a consonant. All English letters are letters precisely because they are used only for writing. Vowels and consonants are something which are related to speaking. Vowels and consonants are something which are related to some system of the language. They are related to phonetics. They are related to the sound system of a language. So in English, we have got 22 vowels. If I'm not wrong, there are 22 vowels in English and 24 consonants in the English language. In Bengali, it might be a little different. I don't know. I'm not a teacher of Bengali. In Nepali, in Bengali, in Urdu, in Arabic, in all other languages of the world, the number may differ. But in English, we have got 22 vowel sounds and 24 consonant sounds. In other words, in order to speak English, in order to speak in the language called English, we require to master 46 sounds. In order to speak and even read in English, we need to master 46 sounds, 46. Mastery of the 26 letters of English will help you write in English. Mastery of the 46 sounds or phonemes in English will help you speak the English fluently. Clear? So this is a totally different system. The letters, the writing system is called orthography, and the spoken system or the sound system is called phonetics or sound system or phonemes. I hope I could make my point clear. So from now onwards, I hope my students of Acharya Prafulla Chandra Roy Government College will have this very clear understanding in their minds that There are 46 sounds or phonemes in English. Of them, 22 are vowels, 24 are consonants, and we need to know the 46 sounds of English phonemes, the sounds of English called the phonemes, vowels and consonants altogether to speak a language, to speak English. For Nepali, for Hindi, for Bengali, for Urdu, for French, the number may be different. Now, one last thing that I shall talk about in today's class is that there is something called IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. After the class is over, I shall provide the list of the entire IPA in the group, and you can check it. There is something called IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. Now, this is done by once again by the British linguists, and even now American linguists have also formulated their own IPA. What is IPA? International Phonetic Alphabet. The IPA is modeled on the Latin script, on the Roman script rather. The IPA, since it is done by the British people, since it is done by the British and the American people, we follow the West, and the entire world follows the IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. With the help of IPA, you can speak Urdu, you can speak Telugu, you can speak Tamil, you can speak Bengali, whatever. The list is around 60 phonemes or 60 sounds are very popular in the IPA. Of these 60 sounds, English requires 46 IPA symbols or sounds. In some dictionaries, I was just having a look at some other dictionaries. In some dictionaries, the list is even more. The list is even more than 100 or 150 or something like that. So IPA is an international phonetic alphabet manufactured or constructed by the British and later by the American linguists. And this is something which is applicable for all languages. Now, IPA is not only meant for English or Bengali or Nepali. IPA is something that is applicable for all languages. The list is around 160. The total list of IPA is around 160. Of these 160 phonemes, some of them are vowels, some of them are consonants. We in English require nearly 46 of the IPA sounds to speak, to be able to speak, uninterruptedly or fluently. Clear? And this is something that I wanted to speak today. So of the vowels, yes, vowels 22 in number, which are once taken from the IPA, and the consonants are 24 in number in English, which are once again taken from the IPA, from the International Phonetic Alphabet. Now, International Phonetic Alphabet is applicable for all languages of the world. Whether you speak Telugu or Swahili or any tribal language, this is something that applies. When it comes to speaking, it applies to all languages of the world, not only English. Even though the IPA is modeled on the Roman script, since it is manufactured by the British and the American philologists and linguists, so it is actually based on the Roman script. The IPA is based on the Roman script, but this IPA is valid for speaking, for capturing the sound system. The IPA is actually a very scientific way of capturing the sounds of all languages of the world. It is actually an attempt. The IPA is an attempt to capture all the sounds required to speak all the languages of the world. It is nearing around 160. What is IPA? IPA is the list of all the sounds, that are required to speak all the languages of the world. So of all the IPA symbols and sounds that are made into the IPA, that are put into the IPA, in English we require 46 of them, 22 vowels and 24 consonants. So once again, I shall end my class saying this, repeating the same thing. Please do not have the misconception that in English we have only 5 vowels. A, E, I, O, U are just like any other letters in English. There is no difference between A and B. There is no difference between A and C. They are all letters of the English alphabet. And how many letters are there? In English, we have got 26 letters. 26 letters are required to write in English. To write in English, we need 26 letters. Similarly, to speak in English, we need 46 letters, 46 sounds. We need 46 sounds or phonemes to speak the language called English. Of these 46 sounds, 22 are vowels and 24 are consonants. Now, in my next class, if I get a very good response from the students, I shall go on to further elaborate on the vowels and consonants. In my next class, I shall go on to elaborate in much detail all the vowels and the consonants. But the list is something like this: 22 vowels and 24 consonants. So I shall provide you the list of all the vowels and the consonants that are required in English. I shall in fact provide the entire IPA chart. And if I find my students interested in knowing much about the IPA and the vowels and consonants required to speak English, I shall provide them the list. And maybe when the college reopens after the vacation, if I find my students interested in knowing more about the IPA and more about the vowels and the consonants required to speak English, then I shall take an offline class with them, and I shall discuss in greater detail about all the vowels, about all the consonants that we have in the English language. So with this, I end my lecture, I shall now hand it over to Nina. And if anybody has any question, any student or any teacher, any colleague of mine, if any professor or any student has got any question, please, I am ready to answer. Yes.
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। আমি স্টুডেন্টদের কাছে, ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কাছে আশা করব তাদের নিশ্চয়ই কোনো না কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকবে। তার কারণ আমরা ভাষা নিয়ে যারা পড়াশোনা করি, আমাদের কাছেও স্যার এমন কিছু বললেন যেগুলো আমাদের কাছেও বেশ নতুন লাগলো। আমি ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কাছ থেকে প্রশ্ন আশা করব। ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কাছ থেকে আমাদের তোমাদের যদি কিছু জানার থাকে বা কোথাও কোনো কনফিউশন থাকে তাহলে তোমরা প্রশ্ন করতে পারো। স্টুডেন্টস এবং আমাদের ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বার কারোর যদি কিছু জানার থাকে বা কিছু প্রশ্ন থাকে, প্লিজ। স্টুডেন্টস এবং ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বার আমাদের কারোর যদি কিছু জানার থাকে তাহলে একটু জিজ্ঞেস করে নেবেন। আমার মনে হয় কারোর কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা নেই। অফিসার ইনচার্জ স্যার কি আছেন? ডক্টর ময়ূক সরকার? অনিরুদ্ধ দাকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। অত্যন্ত সংক্ষিপ্ত আকারে উনি যেভাবে আইপিএ কে আমাদের সামনে তুলে ধরলেন, আমরা ভাষার ছাত্রছাত্রী হওয়া সত্ত্বেও আমাদের কাছে এটা একটা নতুন দিগন্ত খুলে গেল। আমরা অবশ্যই এটা নিয়ে আরো শুনতে চাইবো ওনার কাছে, এবং উনি যদি আমাদেরকে আরো এনরিচ করেন তাহলে আমরা অত্যন্ত বাধিত হব।
আমার মনে হয় নীনা ম্যাডাম, যদি এটা পরবর্তীকালে যদি এটা আপনারা অফলাইন মোডে কিছু করতে পারেন তাহলে আমার একটু বোর্ড ওয়ার্ক করতে সুবিধা হয়। অনলাইন মোডে করা একটু ডিফিকাল্ট হচ্ছে আমার পক্ষে। I mean, things are there in my mind, but I cannot really be very articulate when I speak in front of the camera. So when the college opens, I would request Nina madam and my OSS and everybody, all my colleagues as well as the students, if they show any interest in knowing more about the IPA and the vowels and the consonants in English, at least in English, I can give you a clear picture about all the vowels and all the consonants that are there in the English language. Thank you, madam. Thank you, Nina, madam.
ওকে স্যার, ধন্যবাদ স্যার। অনিরুদ্ধ পাল স্যারকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ। আমরা এরপরে আমাদের পরবর্তী বক্তা, আমাদের নেক্সট স্পিকার সুনিতা লামাকে অনুরোধ করব আমাদের সামনে তার যা বক্তব্য সেটা তুলে ধরার জন্য। সুনিতা লামা কে অনেকেই এখন এখানে আমাদের ছাত্রছাত্রী আছেন যারা চেনে। সুনিতা লামা কিছুদিন আগে পর্যন্ত আচার্য প্রফুল্লচন্দ্র রায় গভর্নমেন্ট কলেজের অন্যতম একটি উল্লেখযোগ্য স্তম্ভ ছিল, কিন্তু আমাদের সরকারি চাকরির প্রাত্যহিকতায়, সরকারি চাকরির বাধ্যবাধকতায় ও আপাতত দার্জিলিং গভর্নমেন্ট কলেজে আছে। কিন্তু ওর সঙ্গে আমাদের কলেজের যে হৃদ্যতা বা সম্পর্কের বন্ধন, সেই বন্ধনের কারণেই ও রাজি হয়েছে আজকে ওর লেকচার দেওয়ার জন্য। তো আমি সুনিতা লামাকে অনুরোধ করব সুনিতা লামা যেন তার বক্তব্য পেশ করেন। সুনিতা লামা।
Thank you, Nina ma'am. It's a very, what shall I say? It's a very, it's always it feels good to be back to APC Roy Government College. I always feel I'm a part of that college. So when
Our pleasure.
Nina Di gave me this opportunity, I grabbed it wholesale. So, thank you so much, Nina ma'am. And without wasting much time, I'd like to start with today's lecture because I think I have only 1 hour duration. Isn't it, ma'am?
आप तुम क्लास करो ना, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, करो, नो प्रॉब्लम।
Okay. Students, can you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I shall
Yes,
be
ma'am.
presenting my screen now, okay? 1 minute, okay? I'm sharing the screen with you all. If you can't see the screen, please let me know, okay? Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so today I am going to talk about the common grammatical errors which we make while communicating in English and tips to avoid them. Okay, so the first lecture given by sir was very very good, very enriching, very it was very good. But because I am not talking about the phonetics and everything, I will basically talk about grammar in my lecture because I have only 1 hour duration. And we do not our language, though we speak in English, it's not our mother tongue. So it is, there is a general tendency while speaking in English, we tend to make mistakes. Okay, so there are some common mistakes which we all make, and there are tips also to avoid it. So we will discuss those things in today's lecture. Okay, so I wanted to cover more topics. Okay, so initially I'd also thought of covering preposition, but I thought that in that 1 hour duration it will be not possible. So I have just chosen 3 important things for today's lecture. The first thing will be the correct use of articles, which I'll be talking about first, and then we will move on to the difficulties when it comes to using comparatives and superlatives, and then the third one will be tag questions. Okay, so first we'll start with the use of articles. So do you know what is the meaning of an article? You have been doing articles since your school time, isn't it? So if we have to define an article is a small monosyllabic word which comes before a noun, and we use it to identify whether we use it to refer to a specific particular thing or to a general example of something. So in a way you can also say that it is a kind of a determiner. Okay, so on the screen you can see some examples. Okay, I'll start with the first example. After the long day, the cup of tea tasted particularly good. Okay, so in this particular sentence, if you have noticed, you will see I have used the. By using the article the, what I have tried to show over here is, this particular article the is used to specify one day, one particular day. So I'm talking about one particular day or one specific day after the long day. Okay, so one specific cup of tea. I'm not talking about general tea. Okay, I'm just talking about one cup of tea which tasted very good. Okay, so similarly, we can use another article when we when we are using article in a general sense, like when I use after a long day, a cup of tea tastes particularly good. So in the second example, if you have seen, I'm just making a general statement, which means I'm just implying that, after a long day, it will be very good to have a cup of tea or coffee. But in the first case, I'm specifying, I'm, particularizing, I'm being very definite about, the tea which I want to have after the long day. Okay, so that is how we use. Okay, there are some, rules which we will follow while using these articles. Okay. So in English language, there are three articles which we use. First is a, second is an, and the third one is the. And these three articles are again divided into two types. Okay, the first one is definite article, which is the, okay, because that is why we say it as specific or particular. So definite article as the, and indefinite article as a or an. Okay, so two indefinite articles. So first we will discuss the definite article. So I will be, providing you with this this particular PPT in a PDF format, and I'll hand it over to the committee members if you are not able to take out the screenshots or if you are not able to write down. Okay, so this definite article, the, when do we use it? This particular article, that is the, it limits the meaning of a noun to one particular thing. For example, I've given this example. Your friend may ask, are you going to the party this weekend? So when we are saying, are you going to the party this weekend, I'm just specifying one particular party that is going to take place in this particular weekend. Okay, so this definite article tells you that your friend is referring to a specific party that both of you already know about. Okay, so the definite article can be used with singular, it can be used with plural also, and it can be used with uncountable nouns. So there are some other examples which I have provided. See the examples, read it with me. The first one is, please give me the hammer. When I say please give me the hammer, I am talking about one hammer which I know about, which I already have the idea about. Second example, similarly, see, please give me the red hammer. Again, I'm being specific. I'm mentioning the red hammer. The blue one is too small. Again, I'm being specific. Okay, so definite article is used to limit the meaning of a noun to one particular thing. Are you getting my points?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Third example again, give me the nails. Okay, so when there are countless other examples, you can frame your own examples. Okay, so when we use this kind of example, in this kind of sentences, we use definite article. Now we will move on to the indefinite articles or an. Okay, now this article are known as indefinite because it is used to suggest something that is not definite or specific. That means something which is used in a generic way, in a general way. Okay, so it can also be used before a singular noun like an apple, a ball, or cat. Remember when you were small in the nurseries classes, the teacher used to teach this kind of sentences: an apple, or ball, or cat, or dog, an elephant. Okay, so that way when you are using it to specify a singular noun, that time also we use or an. Okay, so I've given some examples. Okay, I had an apple for breakfast. Do you have an eraser? I saw an aeroplane. She has a pet dog. My father is a doctor. My brother gave me a calculator. Now if you have if you read these examples with me, you will see that in some of the sentences I have used an, and in some I have used a. Now in the first example, see, I had an apple for breakfast. Why am I using an over there? Because the word apple, okay, starts with a letter which is A, which is a vowel. Now in English there are 5 vowels: A, E, I, O, U, and the rest are consonants, isn't it? So whenever you are using whenever you are making a sentence, okay, and if you have to use an indefinite article before a word which starts with a vowel letter, like in apple, you have to use an. But when see the fourth example, she has a pet dog. Okay, P is a consonant, so I am using a pet and not an pet. Okay. Now, there are again exceptions. Because we are talking about English language and the various grammatical rules, there has to be some exceptions and we have to be very careful about that. Okay, so these are some of the points to be remembered when you are using articles. Okay, we are talking here about the indefinite ones, indefinite article. Now, in most of the cases we use, or dog, or if it has if a word starts with a consonant letter, we usually use a. Okay, and if a word starts with a vowel letter, then it will be an, isn't it? But there are exceptions. Okay, so see the exceptions. Like if the word university and unique start with a vowel, isn't it? However, it does not have a vowel sound, but a consonant sound, U. Okay, so Y. Okay, so when you say university, though it is U, which is a vowel, it does not have a vowel sound. So it starts with Y. Okay, U. So Y is a consonant. So instead of using an university, which will be wrong, what are you using? You are using a university. So see the examples. Studying in a university will give you a lot of exposure. So in this particular sentence, though the word university starts with a vowel letter, it has a consonant sound. Okay, so if it has a consonant sound, it will have a and not an. Okay, so the second example is also similar. This is a unique way of communicating with birds. Okay, so in this sentence also, unique, okay, it starts with a consonant sound, U. That is why we are using a and not an. Okay, now similarly, when will you use an? Okay, there are certain words which which starts with a consonant letter but which will have a vowel sound again. Okay, like in MBA, when you say MBA, okay, the word M is a consonant, the word sound which comes out when you pronounce the letter MBA is MEM. Okay, so E is a vowel. Okay, so vowel sound is produced when you are pronouncing the word MBA. So you will not write a MBA, but you have to write an MBA degree. Okay, so in the sentence, I have completed an MBA degree is the correct way of using in this particular sentence. That will be the correct way of framing the sentence. You cannot say a MBA degree. Similarly, a master's degree. When you say a MA degree, that will be wrong. Okay, so you have to say an MA degree, and okay, an hour. Similarly, see the second example. It took an hour to reach the airport. Okay, so hour. Though the word starts with H, which is a consonant, the H over there is silent. Okay, so what we are saying instead is R. Okay, so O. vowel sound. Okay, even though it starts with a consonant letter, it has a vowel sound. And whenever you have consonant words, words starting with a consonant letter but having a vowel sound, you will have an and not a. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if I will give you 10 minutes at the end of the lecture where you can discuss, clarify your doubts. Okay. Now,
Okay, ma'am.
these are some of the examples of exceptions. Okay, so not an must be used before words which begin with a vowel symbol having a consonant sound like U. Okay, so these are the examples: university, unique, uniform, unit, ecliptus, utensil, euro, UFO, European. So in all these words, you will write a and not an. Now see the next column. An and not a must be used before words which begin with a consonant symbol having vowel sounds like M, A, etc. Are, honest, hourly, heirloom, air, MBA, MBBS, MMR, MCOM, MLA, NCC, X-ray, Xmas. Okay, so these are some of the exceptions which we have to remember while using indefinite articles a or an. Now, some points to remember while using the definite article, that is the. Okay, you should not put the before the name of meals when it refers to the meal generally, like any part of the daily routine. Okay, so in the first example, breakfast is at 8 o'clock. It will not be the breakfast is at 8 o'clock because it is used in the general sense. Okay, so the second sentence is also similar. When do we have dinner and not the dinner? When you write the dinner, it will be wrong because dinner over there is used in a general way. Okay, so because you have breakfast, lunch, dinner every day, isn't it? So whenever we use the breakfast or dinner, lunch in that way to mean general part of the daily routine, then we will not use the. Okay, but you have to use the when you are talking about one particular meal. Okay, like see the first exception, when the meal is a particular one thought of as a social function, like the example, the dinner will be held at the Grand Hotel. So we are not talking about any dinner, but that specific dinner which will be held at the Grand Hotel. Okay, so when you are using this the in this particular sentence, the dinner is specific. We are talking about one particular meal that will be that will take place in the Grand Hotel. Okay, second exception, sorry, when the name of the meal refers to the food rather than the occasion. We enjoyed the breakfast she gave us. Okay, so in the second example, we are talking about that particular breakfast which she gave us. Okay, we are not talking about breakfast or dinner in the general sense over here. Here, the meaning of the dinner and the breakfast will become particular when you use the. Okay, now similarly, we do not use the before the name of countries. Okay, like we don't say the China, the India, isn't it? When I say India is my country, I don't say the India is my country, isn't it? When I say the India, it will become wrong. Okay, so how do you use it? We use the only when the country is made up of smaller units or constituent parts, like when you talk about the United States of America. Okay, we don't say United States only, we have to use the because it is made up of various components. Okay, various different smaller units. So the example, we don't say the France, the Italy, the China, the India, the Ghana. Okay, but whenever we use words like United States, we have to add the because it is made up of smaller units. So the United States is a superpower is the correct way of using. Okay, we cannot say United States only. It becomes wrong. Similarly, when you say United Kingdom, you have to use the United Kingdom, the Soviet Union, the Netherlands, the USSR. Okay, like that. Okay, so whenever you talk about, the country which is made up of smaller units or constituent parts, we have to use the. Okay, but not with a particular country like India or China. We don't say the India, the China. Okay, understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you have understood, let's use, let's check your understanding of articles. Okay, now mentally, okay, please frame the answers. Please choose the correct articles, appropriate articles in the following 12 sentences. Have you watched Das new movie? Please write it down somewhere, okay, or mentally try to fit in the appropriate article in this particular sentences. Have you watched Das new movie? I have never used Das computer. Do you know Das multiplication tables? Sandra brought Das apple. Madhu has Das teddy bear. Das chairs are all broken. The janitor asked Das students to walk carefully as Das the floor was wet. I already gave you the answer over there. I have finished reading Das book you lent me. Harry is planning to buy Das new car. He has been waiting for Das hour. Switzerland is Das European country. I understand he is to marry Das heiress. Okay. So have you framed your answers? Have you chosen the correct articles over there in all those dashes? Let's check how many of you have got it correctly. Okay. These are your correct answers. Have you watched the new movie? How many of you got correctly? I have never used a computer. How do you know the multiplication table? Okay, though we have to use. Sandra brought an apple. Madhu has a teddy bear. The chairs are all broken. The janitor asked the students to walk carefully as the floor was wet. I have finished reading the book you lent me. Harry is planning to buy a new car. He has been waiting for an hour. Switzerland is a European country. I understand he is to marry an heiress. Okay, so how many of you have got it correctly? All correctly? All 12? Very good. Okay, so I hope that you've understood today's lecture on articles. So we will move on to the next unit, next topic, and that is the difficulties we face while using our superlatives and comparatives and superlatives. Okay, now where do we use superlatives and comparatives? Where what are they? Comparatives and superlatives are special type of adjectives used when comparing two or more things. Okay, so what is a comparative? See, on the screen. Comparative adjectives are words used to describe a noun by comparing it to another noun. Okay, so when you have one thing which need to be compared with another thing, we use a comparative degree. Okay, we use a comparative adjective. We usually think of er, like in tall, taller. That is comparative, isn't it? So we normally use er, but it's again tricky business because there are exceptions always, isn't it? Now, what is a superlative? Superlative adjectives are words used to describe a noun when comparing it to two or more nouns to the highest or lowest degree. Okay, so when we use, you have to think of words like big, bigger, biggest. Okay, so biggest is your superlative. Bigger is your comparative. Small, smaller, smallest, the word smallest is your superlative. Okay, so there are some examples which are provided. Tall, taller, tallest, crazy, crazier, craziest, good, better, best. Okay, so these are, there are like so many things where when it comes to using your superlative and comparative degree. Okay, we'll not go into detail because in 1 hour duration it is not possible. I'm just talking about the difficulties when we use comparatives and superlatives. Okay, so we'll go on to the next slide. These are the common mistakes which students and even us teachers make while using our comparatives and superlatives. Okay, so first one is some adjectives and adverbs are made comparative and superlative by adding er and es to the positive. When we say positive, positive is the root verb. Okay, so big, when we take it is a root verb, we are adding er or es to make it bigger or biggest, fast, faster, fastest, long, longer, longest. Okay, so another way of making comparative and superlative is by adding more and most. See the words? So what are we using? We are not changing the positive in the second in the second rule. What are we doing? Instead of saying beautifuler or beautifulest, which will be wrong, we don't say that, isn't it? So what will we say? Instead of changing the root word, the positive word that is beautiful, we are writing more beautiful and most beautiful, mysterious, more mysterious, most mysterious. Okay, so see, but we will never use. Okay, some of you say no, some of us even say he is more taller than me. That is wrong, because more is a comparative degree. You are again using that with another comparative degree, that is taller. That will be wrong. Okay, so see the examples. William is taller than John. That is the correct way of using the comparative in the sentence. Okay, so we will not use more taller. Okay, William is more taller than John will be wrong. So what will we say? William is taller than John. Okay, number 2, he is the tallest boy in the class. Okay, so what are we saying? He is the tallest boy. So the meaning is clear. He's the tallest in the class. We don't say the most tallest. So normally, we have a habit of saying she's the most beautiful. Okay, so like that is correct, isn't it? But similarly, we make a mistake of saying most tallest, which will be wrong. Okay, so when you are using most beautiful, that is correct. But when you are using most tallest, that will be wrong, because you are adding, most to another suffix, because tallest is already a superlative degree, isn't it? So you cannot put two superlative or two comparative together. Okay, now another mistake which we normally do is when we compare two things with the third and wish to say that one of the two is superior to the third to an ever greater degree than the other is, this is expressed by the comparative followed or preceded by still. Okay, so instead of saying more taller, more faster, what will we say? William is taller than John, but James is taller still. Okay, so when you have to compare two with the third one, two different things with the third, what will you use? The word still. Okay, so instead of saying William is taller than John but James is more taller, which we normally do, that is wrong. Okay, so instead of saying James is more taller, what we have to say? We have to say William is taller than John, but James is taller still. That is the correct way of using the comparative and superlative. Okay, so a motor car can go faster than a bicycle, but an airplane can travel still faster, not more faster or more faster still. That will be a wrong way of using your comparatives and superlatives. Okay. Why is my screen not moving? 1 minute. Okay, I think there is some problem with the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, but I
Yes,
don't think.
ma'am.
it somehow stopped moving. 1 minute, okay? Something happened. I think there's some technical glitch. Let me try it again. Can you see the screen? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So I was here, no? So the next one. Okay, next we are talking about the common mistakes which we make while using comparatives and superlatives. I think somebody's mic is on. I'd request Ipsa. Yes. Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the next one. The word than must be preceded by a comparative adjective or adverb, never by a positive one, since that implies two things are being compared, or that one is being compared with all the others of a certain type or group. Okay, so what am I trying to say is, when you are using than, okay, you will not use than with word which is positive, like big. Okay, so you will not say a big salary than. Okay, the correct sentence will be, he receives a bigger salary than anyone else in the office. That will be the correct way of using your comparative adjective or adverb. Okay, so when you use than with big, it will be wrong. You have to use it with the comparative degree of big, that is bigger. Okay, next example. They arrived sooner than we accepted, not soon than. So you will never use your than, okay, with the positive word. Okay, so you have to always use than with the comparative degree of the positive word. Okay, so if the positive word is big, you will not use than with big. You will use than with the comparative degree of the positive word big, that is bigger. Okay, or sooner, which comes from the positive word soon. Understood? Now next one. This is also true of the expression than ever. Okay, so we will also say it is hotter than ever today, not hot. Okay, so we'll never use this comparative degree with the root word. Okay, so we will not say than ever with hot. Okay, positive word. We are instead using it is hotter than ever today. The sun shone more brightly than ever. Okay, more brightly, because brightly is the root word over here. So if you use brightly than ever, it will be wrong. Okay, so more brightly. The third one is a comparative adjective can be used only if two things are compared. If we compare or choose from amongst more than two, then we must use the superlative. Okay, so when you are using superlative, when you are using comparative adjective, it is only used for two, when you are comparing two different things. When you have to choose from amongst more than two, we have to use the superlative. Now see the example. Geography is the most interesting of all the subjects I study. Okay, so most interesting, that is the superlative degree, isn't it? But in the second one, see, I find geography more interesting than history, because over here I'm comparing geography with history. Only two things are being compared. Okay, so we are using the comparative degree more. But in the first sentence, I am comparing geography with all the subjects. That means more than two. So what I be using? Instead of more interesting, we are using most interesting in the first one. Okay, so geography is the most interesting of all the subjects I study is the correct way of using. Okay, and not more interesting. But when you use, geography to compare with history, okay, you have to write more interesting. Okay, I find geography more interesting than history. If you use most interesting over there in the second sentence, it will be again wrong. Clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I have come to the last leg of my lecture. That is, the third one is tag questions. Okay, what is the meaning of tag questions now? Tag questions are questions attached to the end of the statement in order to draw attention to it or to give it added force. Okay, now normally, even when I'm speaking, I'll say, are you understanding the lecture? Okay, then if I add, okay, that is already a question, isn't it? But sometimes if I, in the first sentence, it is very cold in Darjeeling. So if I say, it is very cold today, isn't it? Okay, that kind of, questions which is added towards the end of a statement, if we are using like that, it is called a tag question. Okay, so tag questions are questions which are attached to the end of the statement, which is used to draw attention, okay, which is used to give more emphasis, more force. So normally, okay, although they nominally ask the opinion of the person to whom they are addressed, they do not really do so. They take the agreement for granted. Okay, so it is just used to draw attention or to add more force, to give more emphasis. Okay, so a positive how to use the tag. Okay, the first point to remember is a positive statement takes a negative tag and a negative statement takes a positive tag. Okay, so in the first sentence, it is very cold today. If you consider that as one proper sentence, it is a positive sentence because it does not have any negative word like no, none, isn't it? So not. Okay, so if you don't have any word, any negative words like no, not, that is a positive sentence. Okay, so it is a very cold today. If I use that simple sentence, it is a positive sentence. So by adding isn't it, what am I doing? I'm emphasizing that the day is very cold. Okay, so I'm trying to draw your attention to the fact that the day is very cold out here. Okay, so the first sentence is it is very cold today, comma, isn't it? So whenever you use a tag question, you have to make sure that you remove the question you remove the full stop from the sentence, and replace that with a comma followed by your question tag with a question mark at the end. Okay, so it is very cold today, one positive statement. What will you do? You are changing that statement by removing the dot, the full stop, and instead you are putting a comma and then a tag question. Okay, so if it is a positive statement, it will take a negative tag. Okay, so it is a very cold today. It is very cold today. There is no negative, word. So what are you using? You are using a negative tag. Okay, so it is not very warm today. There is a word not in the sentence. It is not very warm today. So what are you doing? You are using, because it is a negative statement having a negative word like not, what are we doing? We are putting a comma, okay, and we are giving a positive tag. Okay, so is it? Are you getting my point? So if the sentence is positive, you will have to put a negative tag. If the sentence has a negative word, if the sentence is a negative statement, then you have to add a positive tag. See the third example. We have plenty of time, haven't we? We hadn't much time, had we? Okay, so whenever you have a positive statement, you will have a negative tag. Whenever you have a negative statement, it will always take a positive tag. Okay, now the second rule. A negative statement does not necessarily mean one with a negative verb. It may have a positive verb with a negative subject, object, or complement, or a negative adverb that modifies the verb. So, long as there is a negative idea in it, it is a negative statement and needs a positive tag. Okay, so see the first example. None of the food was wasted, was it? Okay, so there in this second sentence, sentence becomes negative, though it does not have a negative verb. Okay, why is it a negative sentence? Because it has a negative subject, it has a negative object. Okay, so whenever you have that, it will again take a positive tag because the sentence will have a negative idea. Okay, so a negative statement necessarily does not have to have not or no. Okay, it can have anything, which will generate a kind of negative idea. Okay, so whenever it generates a negative idea, it becomes a negative statement and it will need a positive tag. Okay, so none of the food was wasted. Okay, it has a negative meaning, isn't it? So we are using a positive tag, that is was it. Next one, money goes nowhere these days, comma, does it? Okay, a small scratch like that is nothing, is it? So in all of the three sentences, we are using positive tag. The third rule, I made a mistake while typing. That is not semi. Okay, it is semi. Semi-negative or depreciative words like little, few, hardly, scarcely, rarely, seldom are treated as negative, and again it will take a positive tag. Okay, so when you use words like little, okay, not like, okay, again there while making it bold, I made a mistake and I have even highlighted this word made like as if it's a depreciative word, but no. So your depreciative words are little, few, hardly, scarcely, rarely, rarely and seldom. So these are negative. So see the examples. Few people knew the answer. Okay, so this is negative. So what will you take? Positive tag you will take. Okay, so did they? Little progress has been made. Has it? We could scarcely hear what he said. Could we? We seldom see them nowadays. Do we? So in all of these four sentences, we are using positive tag. Okay. Now note, though this word few and little are negative, if you use a few, okay, and a little, the meaning of the word changes. Okay, so few will be negative, little will be negative, but when you use a few or a little, it will have a positive meaning. That means little meaning little, isn't it? But a little meaning more than little, more than more than one or two. So that means it will negate the meaning of little. Okay, so a few and a little are positive, and therefore it will need a negative tag. Okay, so a few people knew the answer. That means quite many. Okay, so when you say few people, it means hardly any, isn't it? But when I say a few people knew the answer, that means many people knew the answer. A few people knew the answer, didn't they? Okay, so we are taking a negative tag whenever there is a positive statement. Okay, a little progress has been made. That means some progress has been made. Okay, so we are using a negative tag, hasn't it? Okay, so see another example, another exception is there. The adverb only may take either a positive or a negative tag. So when it comes to using the adverb only, it can either take positive or negative tag. Both will be correct. So see the sentences. There are only 6 people present. Who are they? There were only 6 people present. Weren't they? Both are correct. Okay, so when it comes to adverb only, both negative and positive tags are justifiable. Both are correct. Now see another rule. If a personal pronoun is the subject of the statement, then the same personal pronoun is repeated as the subject of the tag. So is the formal subject there. Okay, meaning if you are using personal pronouns like I, we, he, she, then what will happen? Even in the tag, it will remain the same. It will remain he, she, it, they. Okay, the same goes with there. If there is, there in the sentence, in the tag also there will be there. Okay, but if it is a noun or any pronoun other than a personal one as the subject of the statement, then the tag will be he, she, it, or they. Okay, so you will, if it is, like my name is Sunita. Okay, so if I say Sunita is going to the town, isn't she, I'll write. Okay, not isn't Sunita. So that will be wrong. Okay, so we will not repeat the noun, but instead of, the noun, what are we using? We are using, considering the appropriate gender, we will either use he or she. Okay, so if it is a noun or any other pronoun other than the personal as the subject of the statement, the tag will be he, she, it, or they. Okay, but if there is this generalizing personal pronoun one in the statement, again in the tag, it will be one and not he or she or they or it. Okay, so the examples will make it more clear, I think. Is very clever. Okay, isn't he? Because he is a personal pronoun, isn't it? So we are repeating he even in the tag. Okay, so he is very clever, comma, and what are we writing? Because he is very clever is a positive statement, right? So when you are using a positive statement, what are you using? You are using a negative tag. But see, in the negative tag, you are repeating he because he is a personal pronoun. That girl isn't very attractive. Girl. Okay, it is, what is girl? Common noun, isn't it? So instead of repeating that girl, even in, the tag, what are we doing? We are using see. Okay, so that girl isn't very attractive. This sentence is in negative, isn't it? It's a negative statement because it has isn't in the statement. So what are we using? We are using a positive tag. Okay, so instead of saying that girl isn't attractive, is that girl, it will be wrong. So what are we using? That girl isn't very attractive, comma, is she. Okay, next one. One can't be too careful, can one? Okay, so as it has been stated over here, the generalizing personal pronoun, that is one, will not be replaced by he, she, it, or they. It will remain one only. Okay, so one can't be too careful. Again, a negative sentence. So we are taking a positive tag over here. And what are we writing? We are writing can one. Okay. There is a white horse in the farm. Because, if there is a there, what will happen? It will remain the same. Okay, so there is a white horse in the farm is a positive statement. What are you doing? You are writing isn't there. Okay, so negative statement you are taking. Okay, so again, another one. Sorry. Imperative. Okay, imperative verbs are a class apart. What are imperatives? What is the meaning of imperative? Imperative meaning requests or orders, isn't it? So when you are using imperative verbs, it will what will happen to the tag? It will remain positive. Okay, so see, if they are simple requests, they usually take will you, no matter what the verb, no matter whether it is positive or negative request. Pass me the newspaper. Okay, so if it's order, isn't it a kind of a request or kind of order? Okay, so it's an imperative sentence. You are using an imperative verb over here. So what will you use? You are saying pass me the newspaper, but what are you using? We are not using any other form of tag. We are using will you. Don't be late for dinner. Will you? Okay, so whether it is negative or positive request, what will happen? With the imperative verbs, we are using will you as the question, tag question. Okay, so check your understanding of tag questions. These are some of the positive and negative sentences. Let's convert them into tag questions. Okay, let's add tag questions at the end. We haven't had our lunch yet. We were only just in time. The garden looks very attractive. The hotel was not too expensive. There was not a single seat vacant. She never drinks coffee. One should be careful these days. None of us knew the way. Now, let's check the answers for this questions. Okay. Frame your answers, okay, and check whether you are doing it correctly, whether you have understood it properly or not. We haven't had our lunch yet. What will you take? What will you write in the first sentence? Because it is a negative statement, it has to have a positive tag, isn't it? So the answers are like this. We haven't had our lunch yet. Have we? Okay, so it has a negative statement. It is a negative statement, so we are using a positive tag. Have we? We were only just in time, weren't we? Okay, so positive statement taking a negative statement, positive statement taking a negative tag. The garden looks very attractive, doesn't it? Okay, the hotel was not too expensive, was it? There was not a single seat vacant, was there? We are using there. We are repeating the word there. Okay. She never drinks coffee, does she? One should be careful these days. Shouldn't one? Okay, because one gets repeated even in the question tag. That is what we learned, isn't it? None of us knew the way, did we? Okay, so these are some of the ways where to use the question tag questions, okay, in your answer. So I hope you have understood today's lecture. If you have some doubt, you can ask one by one. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ninadi, for giving me this opportunity to reconnect with my students. It was a good opportunity for me, because I have not yet been I'm not able to forget and move away from move on from APC. I still feel that I'm a part of APC college. Thank you so much.
থ্যাংক ইউ সুনিতা। মানে কি বলবো, আমার বলার ভাষা নেই, কেননা তোমার সঙ্গে আমাদের যে সম্পর্ক সেটা কোনোদিনই মানে কেটে যাওয়ার নয়। এটা আমাদের অপরচুনিটি যে আমাদের একবার বলাতে তুমি এসে আবার আমাদের ক্লাস নিলে আমাদের স্টুডেন্টদের জন্য। অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ তোমাকে। আমি স্টুডেন্টদের কাছে প্রশ্ন আশা করব, তার কারণ আমরা প্রতিনিয়ত ইংরেজি বলছি, প্রতিনিয়ত যে ভাষা ব্যবহার করছি, বাংলার বদলে অনেক সময় আমরা ইংরেজি ব্যবহার করছি, সেই ভাষায় ব্যবহার করতে গিয়ে কত ছোটখাটো ভুল ভ্রান্তি বা আমাদের অজানা ভুল আমরা করে থাকি, সেটা আমাদের সুনিতা ম্যাডাম আমাদের শেখালেন বা আমাদেরকে নির্দিষ্ট করে দিলেন। আমি চাইবো ছাত্রছাত্রীরা একজন একজন করে যদি তাদের কিছু প্রশ্ন থাকে বা যদি তাদের কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা থাকে, তাহলে সেগুলো যেন অবশ্যই আমাদের সঙ্গে শেয়ার করে।
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Please.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, as you say that in imperative tag, can't we use that tag in the at the first, like example, pass me the newspaper, will you? We can't use will you pass me the newspaper.
Then it will no longer remain the tag question. It will just become a normal sentence. There is a way of using tag questions. We are trying to convert a simple positive or a negative sentence into something different, isn't it? We are trying to give emphasis to that particular sentence. Okay, like even when you are saying, will you pass me the newspaper?
Yes,
okay, that is a question or a request, isn't it? It is no longer having a tag. Why are we using tags in a statement? To give more emphasis. Okay, so instead of saying, will you pass me the newspaper, we are saying, pass me the newspaper, will you? Okay, it has more emphasis. You are creating, you are drawing the attention of the person from whom you are asking the newspaper. Okay, so that is how tags are used.
Thank you, ma'am.
আর কেউ কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা আছে? আর কারোর কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা আছে? ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বারদের মধ্যে থেকে যদি কারোর কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা থাকে তাহলে প্লিজ। অর্ঘ্য, অনুষা, তোমাদের কি কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা আছে?
No, ma'am.
আমাদের ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বারদের মধ্যে যদি কারোর কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা থাকে তাহলে প্লিজ জিজ্ঞেস করে নিতে পারেন সুনিতার কাছ থেকে। তাহলে আমি আশা করছি যে আমাদের কারোরই কিছু জিজ্ঞাসা নেই সুনিতার কাছে। সুনিতাকে আরেকবার অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। সুনিতা যেভাবে অত্যন্ত অল্প সময়ের মধ্যে আমাদের ডাকে সাড়া দিয়ে এত সুন্দর, এত ইনোভেটিভ এবং এত ইনফরমেটিভ একটা প্রোগ্রাম আমাদেরকে দিল, তার জন্য সুনিতাকে কোনো রকম ধন্যবাদই যথেষ্ট নয়, কিন্তু তাও সরকারিভাবে একটা ধন্যবাদ দিতেই হয়। সেই কারণে ছোট বোন হিসেবে সুনিতাকে আমরা ধন্যবাদ দিচ্ছি, আমাদের এক্স কলিগ হিসেবে আমরা সুনিতাকে ধন্যবাদ দিচ্ছি, এবং সুনিতা যাতে ভবিষ্যতে আরো উন্নতি করুক এবং আমাদের এই ধরনের আরো লেকচার দিয়ে যাক সেটার জন্য আশা করছি। আজকের অনুষ্ঠান বা আজকের আমাদের ভাষা উৎসবের প্রথম দিনের যে অংশটা আজকে আমরা এখানে শেষ করব। সুনিতার এত সুন্দর অনুষ্ঠান, এত সুন্দর বক্তব্যের পর আমার মনে হয় না আর কোনো বক্তব্যই আমাদের পক্ষে যথেষ্ট হবে। আমরা আজকের এই ভাষা উৎসবের প্রথম দিনের প্রোগ্রাম আজকের মতন আমরা শেষ করব। কালকে আবার আমরা অনুষ্ঠানে এই যোগাযোগ করব, যোগ দেব ঠিক 3টের সময়। কালকে দুজন বাংলার টিচার, বাংলার ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বার বলবেন। একজন মীনা সিংহ রায় ভাষার উৎপত্তি নিয়ে বলবেন, আর আরেকজন হৃদয় বক্সী বলবেন আমাদের সাহিত্য পাঠ কি সময়ের অপচয়, এই দুটো বিষয় নিয়ে বলা হবে কালকে। আমি আশা করব আমার ছাত্রছাত্রীরা এবং আমাদের কলিগরা, আমাদের ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বাররা সবাই কালকে আমাদের এই অনুষ্ঠানে আবার যোগাযোগ করবে এবং যোগ দেবেন। সুনিতাকে আবার ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে, আমাদের অফিসার ইনচার্জকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে এবং আমাদের আইকিউএসি কোঅর্ডিনেটর স্যারকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে, সেই সঙ্গে আমাদের এই ভাষা উৎসবের প্রথম বক্তা ডক্টর অনিরুদ্ধ পালকেও অনেক ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে আজকের অনুষ্ঠান আমরা শেষ করছি।
Thank you so much, Dee. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to reconnect with my students. It is a very overwhelming moment for me. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.